I'm Dr. Fackrell. Tonight I'm going to talk about depression. Depression is one of those things that we see a lot of. In fact, in my practice, a very high percentage of the people that come in are having hardship with depression. Depression can be anything from very mild to not feeling well, and there are symptoms that we will talk about in a few minutes, to more severe, where people are even suicidal, where they want to end their life. And unfortunately, I, as other doctors, have had horror stories of that happening. So depression is something that we definitely worry about and want to treat. The good news is there are treatments available. In fact, treatments that even just a few years ago we didn't have, and they change people's life. This is Jessie. We're going to take a few minutes and she's going to talk about some of the signs and symptoms of depression, some things that we can do for it. And then I will talk a few more minutes about some things that I have found that has worked very well.
Hello, my name is Jessie. I'm a PA student, as Dr. Fackrell mentioned, and today we'll be talking about depression. First of all, I want to just say it is a very, very common problem. If you have it, don't feel like you're the only one in the world that has it, because you don't. The average age is actually 32. Women are found to be more likely to have it than men, and it affects 32 to 35 million adults in the U.S. That's a really big number, and as Dr. Fackrell mentioned, approximately 35 to 40% of primary care, or in other words, patients that he sees, actually suffer from depression. It affects all races. It affects all ethnic backgrounds, and no matter how much money you make or how much money you don't make, you can still develop depression. The most important complication of depression is suicide, and I hope that this video can reach out and help and provide the information that maybe someone needs to seek the help and understand that miracles do happen and that there are things you can do to help treat your depression. So, what are the signs and symptoms of depression? Well, first of all, you feel depressed. You're in a depressed mood. You may have a lack, what we call anhedonia, which is just a fancy name for you feel like you've lost interest in those activities or those things that you found pleasure in before. So, for example, if you like to go out and fish, and you're worried you're depressed, maybe you change from loving to go fish, and maybe now you don't really like to go fish anymore, you just don't really feel like it anymore. That is a sign or symptom of depression. Another thing, you may either lose sleep or sleep too much or more than you used to. You may lose weight or gain weight. You may not be able to concentrate very well. You may have a lack of energy. The difference between just being blue or having a sad day and depression is that you experience those symptoms that I just mentioned for most of the day, more days of the week than just one or two. It's actually most of the week, and for at least 2 weeks you experience this. Another indicator that you are having depression is that it is affecting your everyday activities. Maybe you can't get out of bed in the morning. Maybe you aren't able to care for your children, or maybe even care for yourself. Those would be red flags indicating, hey, maybe we've got some depression going on. And it would be important for you to seek treatment, and don't be scared to come talk to us, as doctors and PAs are here for you whenever you need help or feel like you really could use a teammate. There are associated conditions that have been shown to be found with those who have depression. This includes hypothyroidism, which is something your doctor will check when you come to visit them. This is done by a simple blood test. Another thing that happens commonly with depression is that maybe you have a chronic disease, such as diabetes, or heart failure, or cancer. Those are commonly seen with people with depression. And maybe you start out with a chronic disease and later develop depression. This commonly happens. But you need to know that there are things you can do to help treat it and help you feel better. Another common condition seen with depression is anxiety. It's common for these two things to be linked. Now, when you come to the doctor, There are no lab tests, or in other words, we can't draw your blood or swab your throat and determine and run a test that determines that you have depression. But they may take your blood to do specific blood work to rule out other causes, such as hypothyroidism, like I mentioned before, or diabetes, or maybe see how you're doing with another chronic disease that you may be receiving treatment for. So if you have depression, what are your treatment options? Well, the first that we like to consider is therapy. And I know most people think of therapy, they think, oh, therapy. I know a lot of people are either embarrassed or they think, it's not going to work, or whatever the case may be, they just don't like it. It has a bad connotation in our society, or a bad meaning in our society. But what people don't realize is that it actually works. The studies have proven over and over and over again that psychotherapy or cognitive behavioral therapy actually do help with the symptoms of depression and help you deal with things a lot better. And that those patients in those studies, when they participated in therapy, their lives became much better, and that long term, we're talking years after the therapy, they were able to handle whatever stressors came in their life and were able to be a lot more happy. Now, cognitive behavioral therapy and psychotherapy is the formal name of these. And for a long time I didn't understand what happened or what went on with these. I did some research on this to find out that in these therapy sessions, the goal is to focus on what your reaction is to whatever stressors you have in your life and how to change your perspective or change your thinking. And the whole point of therapy is to go through these situations and get better habits and change your thought process to put yourself in more control of your life and your different stressors that come into your life. In a review of 9 different trials of women with postpartum depression, which is another type of depression that's really common in our country, in the review of these 9 trials, 956 women reported an increase in mood and an ability to better handle their depression and an ability to be happier in their life after they participated in psychotherapy or cognitive behavioral therapy. So, if this works for postpartum women, you know for sure it will help those also who don't have children or don't have the postpartum depression diagnosis as well. Other treatment options that are available for depression that don't have anything to do with medication include exercise. Exercise has been found to increase the serotonin in the body. Serotonin has been found to help improve your mood and help keep yourself from being so depressed and handle life stresses better. And the research I found, there were actually 28 trials that were reviewed, and over 1,000 participants reviewed within these 28 trials. And the results were that those participants found that when compared to a placebo, that exercise helped improve their depression more than the placebo. So it has been proven that exercise works in improving your mood. Another review of study looked at relaxation techniques and how it helped those with depression. One thing that they found was that with depression, a lot of people never seek treatment for this. They never seek help. Maybe they don't want to be put on a medication. They're worried that's the only option. But within these studies, they found that relaxation techniques were better than no treatment at all. So again, if you can figure out some relaxation techniques on your own, whether it be meditation, whether it be prayer, whether it be just relaxing, figuring out how you can relax, that definitely will be helpful in treating and handling your depression. Next, I would like to talk about St. John's wort. This is a common herb that many people try and use. The trials and the research has shown that St. John's wort does help with mild to moderate depression. However, the FDA does not monitor what distributions or what contents of St. John's wort are out on the market. This means that many different manufacturers have inconsistent ingredients of St. John's wort. So it may not always work depending on the formulation that you get. Also, I would like to advise caution in those who start on St. John's wort. The interactions that can happen with other drugs that you may be on can be serious. So if you're considering St. John's wort in helping with your depression, please come in contact with your doctor or your PA. They will help you determine if this is a safe option for you. The side effects of St. John's wort have been shown to be very minor, if at all zero. So this could be a good option for you if you have mild to moderate depression. But again, remember that St. John's wort can interact with different medications and different even disease processes. So make sure to see your doctor or your PA to see if this is a safe option for you in treating your depression. Another thing or practice that will help you in treating your depression and has been proven to help with depressive symptoms is to incorporate some sort of spirituality in your life. A study that I found actually reviewed a couple different studies, but one specific study that caught my eye, it's a small one. It was done in 2011, August of 2011, and it was done with 15 people. The results were, or the point of the trial was to see how religion and spirituality played in people with depression, major depression. The results showed that people felt more gratitude. They were able to recognize others and their contributions in their lives. They were able to handle stress better and overall feel happier by incorporating these spirituality techniques, as the study called them. So, my advice is that any sort of spirituality, any sort of religion that you can get yourself involved in will help your perspective and will help you with these depressive symptoms. Lastly, I'd like to mention that medications are available for those with depressive symptoms and are an option. There are many different types, and you can talk to your doctor about these types of medications. Medications have also been shown to help better with those that have moderate to severe depression. Another thing to remember is that these drugs, if you happen to need to be on one of these medications, that they need to be monitored every 4 to 8 weeks when you first start treatment. And the reason for this is to see if they're working, and also to see if the side effects are being okay, if you're handling the medication okay like you should, and if your body is handling the medication like you should. Remember, if you start to have suicidal or violent thoughts at all when you begin these medications, or at any time when you have depression, do not hesitate to contact someone for help, especially your doctor or your PA. We're here to help you. We can help you and we can provide the treatment that you need. And just remember, we're your teammate, and that miracles can happen and your life can be changed if your depression is treated correctly.
So we've talked about depression and some of the signs and symptoms to watch for. We've talked about some of the treatments that the research shows helps. I want to talk a few things that I tell you about, some of the things that I tell my patients when they come to see me about it. I have 4 things that I tell them to do. So we've got the medication. We talked about that already. Gratitude journal. Now, studies have shown that if someone would write down a couple of things that they're grateful for every night, it will help change their attitude. Some people say, well, how can I be grateful when I feel so bad? But there's always something that we can be grateful for. Whether it's air that we can breathe, whether it's a car that runs, tires that are not flat, whatever it is, there's always something we can be grateful for. And what we have found is the more people are grateful for what they have, the better they feel and the less depression that they feel. Okay, next one is exercise. It's been proven to help. So definitely recommend it. And as Jesse, the PA, has talked about some of these things also, but these are things I like to tell my patients. So exercise is very important. There's a couple of books that I do recommend. One is Thanks by Dr. Emmons, and and that is a very helpful one. And the other one is SOS, Help for Emotions, and this one's a very user-friendly, if you will, is one that's very helpful, and it's psychotherapy, which is also very helpful. And the last thing we talk about is I tell patients, whoever your God is, get right with your God. Whether it's a specific religion, whether it's just the Bible in general, whether it is just the power source that you feel is your God, studies show that helps. And so those are things that have been helpful, and I have seen miracles happen with my patients by following these things.